to another Let's Talk Tuesday. I know I've been MIA for the longest while, but guys, I had to do some exams. So now we're back, and I'm back with my friend. My friend, his name is Ben Carson. Well, that's what we call him, Ben Carson.
Yeah.
He is the owner of, should I give
Black.
your actual name? Bernard
Uh,
Bekoa Boama.
yeah. Yeah, that's
No,
okay.
I can't pronounce.
Well, it's okay. Ben Carson is fine. Okay, so the name is
Okay.
Bequin Bernard Boama. Yeah. Actually, some Ghanaians find my name like difficult to mention too. So it's not very common. Yeah.
Right. So please do welcome Ben Carson to
Yeah.
Let's Talk Tuesday. And today we're going to be speaking on the topic of emotional maturity.
Yes.
I gave Ben the choice to choose one of my videos that I had spoken, one of the topics I have spoken on before,
Mm.
and he surprisingly chose this one. So I'm really intrigued to find out what he's thinking about in regards to emotional maturity and just where he's at, how he developed his maturity regarding his emotions, and I guess we'll see where his perspective is and what we can learn from it. Okay, guys. So Ben,
Yeah.
what's your definition of emotional maturity?
Okay. All right. Thank you. I first of all, cool regards to all your watchers and your ardent listeners. I think it's a great show, and I've actually wanted to be here like for quite some time. So when you said we should, I mean, have a time like this, man, I was yeah, that is it. The hen is finally coming home to roost. Huh? The chickens are coming to roost. So I'm happy to be here, and cheers to all your listeners and BWT-Africa Rising. I mean, watchers. Yeah. My name is Ben Carson once again. And speaking about the topic, right? I think I was quite intrigued too listening to you in that episode. I think you made some profound statement, gave a very good perspective about it, given even your personal life and all that. I think if you ask me to define emotional maturity, maybe I would just say it's uh people intelligence. Like that's just the two terms that I would first people intelligence, or if you want the broader one, being intelligent about other people apart from you. And sometimes it might not necessarily be apart from you, because sometimes you would have to actually check your emotions first before you try to understand other people. It works two ways. So people, in some part, you inclusive, and in some part, just other people inclusive. Just being intelligent about people, all the other aspect, not just emotions alone. Yeah. And I think if you get to know that, you would actually know how to bring the emotion aspect into it.
It's actually very good that you mentioned being intelligent in regards to others, because
Mm,
you have to learn to control yourself and to try and see things from someone else's perspective, so
exactly.
as to, so not to overthink or to get to the point that, okay, it's only solely about me, everything that they did was just because I did it.
Mm,
Oftentimes when people react a certain way, it's not you're not the problem, honestly. It's just that they're dealing with something, and
yeah.
they need space at that time, or they need you to just be silent or something of the sort.
Exactly.
And for you to grasp that and to know that, okay, maybe I you can take yourself away from the situation
Yeah.
and think about them.
Yeah.
That's really a profound statement.
Yeah.
So, um how do you think it differs from what society thinks is emotional maturity? Because you have the societal definition, and then you
Yeah.
have
Okay.
your
So
definition.
we live in a world. I think you actually made mention of that in that episode I watched. That we live in a society where you don't express your feelings, or you don't try to explain most often, and so people
Right.
have come to think that when you always walk away from situations, or when you always turn your back to situations, when you always try to act old, And I think that is what society are trying to attach age to, I mean, maturity. But man, you can have a kid who is like 7 year old, 7 years old, who will be much more mature than a 40-year-old. It happens. It's the reality, right?
Me,
And so
I've
sometimes,
seen it.
yeah, sometimes people want you to behave as if you are old in terms of age to feel matured. And so,
Right.
hey, that's kid stuff. Hey, that one is 7-year-old stuff. Okay, you just have to. No, I don't think you have to go by societal way of trying to push people to always walk away from situations as a way of showing maturity. I think in some situations you have to stand up, uh, try to put certain things right before you actually walk away. In that regard, then what I think about maturity will be different from what society is trying to make everybody believe. And so nowadays we have people hurting in relationships. We have people getting hurt, feeling, I mean, the worst of feelings that you can think about, and because they need to play the societal, I mean, toe that line of being matured. Hey, you don't talk about it. I just keep quiet. The more you complain, you feel you become immature. It's kids that complain about this stuff. I think maybe that's where my thinking would differ from that of society.
That's good. And I'm actually happy that you mentioned the more you complain about things, the more
Mhm.
immature you are.
Mhm.
It's like as you age, society expects you to, as you just said, to be silent about your issues when honestly, um, I tie a lot of things together, and the fact that society tries to dim this, a lot of people bottle up all these emotions
Yeah,
and not everyone can
until they
handle
blow
it.
up. Until they blow
Right.
up at once. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. They blow up and not everyone can handle that blow up. People blow up in many situations in
Yeah.
different ways, I mean.
Yeah.
And one of the sad ways is suicide. And that one really hits me because I always think of it like, guys, what would be the reason why someone would even come to the point of
Mm.
thinking,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but different topic.
I think uh like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it I was having this discussion with a schoolmate, right? That uh, I don't know if it started from when I was born or it was like that when before I was born. That now I feel like a lot of people are living other people's lives. And what I mean by that is like what people expect of us. That is how we are living, rather than what
Yes.
would suit us, what will make us happy, what will make us live like comfortable life. Because come to think of it, you realize
Right.
sometimes when society push you to go get money, go get money, go get money, go get money, and you start getting money to the point that you don't even have the time to enjoy the money you are having, and society push you to get money for your retirement age. Let's put that one even. Get money for when you are retired and you get much more money to spend. And then you realize in our world now, you start getting whole different sort of ailments that you can't even mention names at the age of 40, 45. You might be suffering from cancer. And so you might have worked your like work your butt from, let's say, at the age of 18 when you started fending for yourself, to when you were like 40 or 45, let's say, saving money, assuming you don't even do anything with the money, right? Saving at 45, you start feeling so weak to the point that you start getting tired of people and even the world at itself. And so what are you
Yeah.
actually going to use that money for? Just use it for your
Mm-hmm.
hospital bills when you are old and die. Is it like that? So that is the underlying thing that I see in society now. Like people tend to hear not just even their parents, I would say. I mean, mostly our parents find the best way for us. Not always though, but I think from experience and all that, usually your parents want the best for you. But sometimes we listen to so-called motivational speakers, mentors, friends, people we look up to, who sort of want to get some sort of a life for us, right? Uh, I know it's true. Sometimes someone can look at you and say, "Oh, you fit in this particular thing." But when you happen to find someone who is always knocking at your door, "Hey, you do this. This is what you have to do. If you want, you have to actually get here. I want you to do that. Oh, you have to get your masters. Do it. You have to do it now and this year." Like using myself as an example, right? Now I'm doing my PhD and all, but sincerely speaking, I will get my PhD definitely, like maybe in the next year or two. But I really
Mhm.
feel like at my age and the sort of experience, because I've actually had all my steady experience, like from tertiary in China. I did my bachelor's here, I did my master's here. At some point, I feel like, no, I wasn't really supposed to continue with PhD. I think I should have at least gone home back to my country, feel the life, feel the work life, feel family life, because I came here as a teenager at the age of, I think, 19, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people might not be able to actually live in another country,
Mhm.
especially you are talking about China. I mean, you are living with people who are not your color, who understand less about you, and you come here as a teenager, as a kid with no family relative or anything, and you have to typically fend your way through it. So you do your bachelor here, do your masters here. You have no connection in terms of even work life, friends. You lose all your
Right.
friends from SHS, and you come here. I went home. I wanted to spend 1 month. Trust me, I ran back to China after 2 weeks. Not because my country is not good. I was sleeping at home. I mean, I had access to television, internet, everything. I just wasn't feeling it. When
Right.
people go
Right.
out to their friends, I don't have them because I left them from high school. I left. And my friends that I've made, new friends were all in China. I just couldn't stay. I left after 2 weeks back to China. Like, and I realized that bonding that I need is not there, right? But then you had people also here who were like sort of pushing me. Oh, you have to, once you have the opportunity, you have to just do it. Take it, take your PhD, just do it. And at some point, especially when I started having coursework in PhD, I realized no, people are beating me with experience here. People are beating me with a work life. People are beating me with family life. People are beating me with a whole lot of things here. Mine is just about the academic. And trust me, academic is like 30% of PhD because you need that other aspect of life itself in terms of decision making and thinking, because here you have to think to the maximum capacity. It's nothing like chew, what we call like chew, pour, and forget anything. No, that's nothing to do with that. You have to think, come it out from, I mean, ingenuity. I mean, ingenuity, genuine ideas, right? Things that comes from life experience and all that. And so I realized if I had my own way, or if I had my own way, or if I had the opportunity, or if someone had told me this earlier, I think I
Mhm.
would have paused it, go back home, go get that life. Or even if I should stay here, I need to get that corporate life, real life living, all right, to give you that experience. But you end up sort of living what people expect of you. And all that bubbles up inside. And then you might one day blow up to think, oh, if I had it my way, I could have really been this that year, 2 years ago. I think if I had taken that decision, I would have been here. And then you tend to think, oh, it's all gone, it's all done, everything is, I think I can't do it anymore. And if you don't hold it up, the thought of you living someone else's life, or the thought of you being let down by people around you to the point that you didn't live the best of your life, you might think of ending it because after all, it's not your life anyway. Right. Good. So yeah, that's some of the things that I think do happen.
Yeah. That's good. So then, at what point did you realize that you became emotionally mature? Because I'm pretty sure you consider yourself an emotionally mature, or am I wrong?
Okay, I think yeah, and I'll also take another inference from your video again, because I think you even mentioned it, that you have to also feel that. I mean, it has to come to a point that you have to be that confident about yourself, right? About
Right.
your thought, about who you think you are, so that yeah, you'll be able to know how to react. But I don't think there's a point where you say I have reached. It's not like a graduation. You get your certificate, degree, and you're gone. Like life never ends. And being emotionally mature is part of the life, I mean, journey. You never get to it, right? You never get to it. And every
Okay.
day is a new experience, right? But I think
Mm-hmm.
the time that I would say I started thinking differently, right, was all right, so I got off this relationship, right? And actually by then I hadn't really like dated someone younger than me before, right? And I like the way you are watching me. Like, no, that's actually because I used to think that, I had this idea that uh girls, how do I say, like, we men think like way ahead, right, of women. And so if you also want to take a girl that you are even older than, like, that was my weird ideology, right? If you want to
Yeah.
take if you want to take a lady that you are also older than, then it means like the gap is going to be double. So I that was like conscious thought on my mind, until I got off this one and I got into another one where I realized this girl that I thought was a kid, right? Because this time I was older than her, right?
Right.
Was far more like matured, right? In terms of like,
Wow.
yeah, in terms of what I expected from a lady, and the reason
Mhm.
why I actually opted to date people who were a bit older than me, right? I realized that little girl actually had it all. And I'm saying little in terms of age, not because she was mentally little or something. But then, and so I started thinking maybe this whole thing about age and itself, it's is different. And because of that thought too, I used to trying to act my age. And what I mean is that even when we go to places where I feel like I would have to fully partake as an adult. I used to think, hey, I just turned 20. Chill out. You don't have to make it so serious. You don't have to take life so serious. But at some point, I was trying so hard to act my age in everywhere that I go. Situations where people want you to stand up to be, hey, we are equals. We've all traveled. We are all, let's say, Ghanaians, we're all Africans. Hey, we are all foreigners. Let's discuss this. I tend to want to feel, hey, I will be the one to quickly rush, go wash the bowls, let people feel like I'm the only kid around. You know that that kind of feeling. So after
Right.
I got that, now I started thinking, oh no, I think now I have to trash that thing away, and I have to get to know about how things work here. Because in China here, and I think one other person told me that, hey, the fact that you've traveled, left your family and come here as a foreigner, you have to be matured. You have to be that dependent. You don't have to start thinking
Definitely.
this person has to take care of you. Because I think I used to have that feeling of entitlement. I'm the kid here. You guys have to look after me, like that sort of feeling. And so I always try to leave my age. I'm the only teenager here. Oh, you are all old. And so, hey, we people are paying for money I don't want to pay. Like, you see that kind of feeling, yeah. So after that, I think when I started experiencing that, and the reason why I'm saying that, that girl was actually more mature, I would say, than me. So I think let me say that. And so she started really like giving me this other perspective, because you feel like, hey, you are behaving too entitled. You feel like you are a kid all the time. Always when you go outside, you just want to behave like jumping around, always trying to make people laugh and all that. You have to be matured. And her way of telling me to be matured was the fact that, okay, I was very funny, right? And I try to act funny like when I'm around like my countrymates and all that. But I think I had to come to a point to know that, hey,
Mhm.
at this part you have to, behave a little bit older, like in that regard, right? Don't always play, like quit the playing a lot. You at some point you have to come to realize that, hey, we have met as adults, like we are discussing things like right. And so she tried to bring all these things home, and then I realized, hey, I think I got to change. I got to think differently. And so I started reading books. Oh, I read this book, As a Man Thinketh. Unfortunately, I've forgotten the name of the author, but I think I might get it. I'll tell you so that you can maybe put the link in the description for people to read that book.
Right.
And I started getting like different perspective about how this whole thing. That's why I think I actually got to know that, like, being emotionally matured is being intelligent about people, to get to know which specific people are here, what are their expectations, how are you supposed to meet it, and how are you supposed to behave even with specific people around that time. The mood, the timing is sometimes also everything. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't want to mention that girl's name, but I think she really brought that sort of positivity there in my life. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And that actually Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, you elaborated. One of the points I discussed in my videos was
Yeah.
knowing when to be silly.
Yeah.
Because as you clearly said, there's a time and place for everything. And to be emotionally mature is to know, okay, at this time, I need to chill, and at
Yeah.
this time, I can have fun.
Yeah.
So that's good. What pointers do you have for the viewers on how to be emotionally mature? Because you've gone through it, you've seen, you've grown, you've had your experiences. So, like, let's say a teenager is watching right now and they're seeking, like, okay, I'm seeking to be more mature. I'm getting into my 20s. How will I know when or where to be mature? What's good? What's considered emotionally mature? What pointers do you have for them?
Thank you for this. So if you ask about pointers, first of all, I think, yeah, people can try to take it from my perspective, right, from my idea, but I think they will also have to experience it as part of life and to take their own life note, right? So for me, when I started trying to consciously learn how to be emotionally mature or trying to behave emotionally mature, I think I came up with some principles, and I still hold some of them till now. Like with life, I've tried to, be a little bit liberal in some aspect, but I came up with some principles that um, some of them going forward, I realized some of them were too harsh, were hard to, let's say, comply with. But I think that as the base, like as the blueprint of how you want your life to be, was quite okay for the start. And so I would say, uh, maybe you have to get principle, some certain part of principle, because it's more like it helps you to learn faster. What do I mean by that? So let's take it that your principle is like this war, right? And then
Mhm.
life experiences are like a ball that are bouncing, right? Bouncing around. And these are your straight principles, right? So you tend to see what often bounce on the left side or what often bounce on the right side, right? And when it bounces on the right side, how far does it go away? Does it come back again? How often does it come back again? And it tends to help you decide faster. But assuming you have no principle, right? And so there's nothing for those experiences to come bounce on for you to weigh your
Right.
thoughts around. It can go until maybe go hit something else and then comes back. And so timing in terms of how you the rate at which you tend to, see it, you might lose track of it, right? Because but if you have that principle sort of thing, you realize, okay, so assuming, let's say, hey, I don't eat at my friend's home, all right, or I don't eat when I go out, right? And then you happen to realize you have a whole lot of friends around you, right? And then there's this particular friend who, when he goes out with you, he's very conscious to know that, hey, that my friend doesn't eat here, so please, you have to, in case he doesn't eat, please forgive him, pardon him, or something like that. Or you go out, that guy is not forcing you to eat, or that boy is not, that girl is not forcing you to. Then there's this particular friend who, anytime you are out, like, it's whether he forgets or she forgets, or he just do it all the time, right? And so if that is like your firm principle, like something that, hey, then you happen to, hey, is this guy like truly my true friend? Or like, hey, why does he always forget that I don't do this, right? Or something like that. And it keeps happening. And always you have to remind that person. Then at some point you might have to come to think, okay, maybe he has that disease of forgetfulness, or that guy doesn't really take anything I say serious, or maybe he doesn't really care about whatever I care about, or those things. This is just an example anyway, so maybe it might not really go. But I mean, if you have those sort of things, right, it help you to get to know who the point is, like it help you. So but at some point, maybe if it's too rigid, you also know how to adjust and all that. It's always helpful than not having anything at all. It means things just come in, your life go around. And so it will take you a long time to learn, right? And speaking about that, I'm a little bit below 30. I wouldn't say the actual number now, right? And I've lived most of my life here in China, right? And so at some point, um, I realized all my friends were like people who were like way, and even now it is like barely would I have a friend who is younger than me. Like I don't really have them, because I think
Mhm.
when you get to start thinking like them, you tend to play around those set of people, right? And so I realized at some point these were like the people that I was moving around with, not because they were the people that I came to China with. Most of them came here, most of them left, but it's more like a cycle because that's the rate I'm thinking now. Someone also said it was part of the life experience because I came here as a teenager. I started managing things my own way. I had to decide what to buy and cook and eat. If I was in Ghana at the age of 19 and still schooling, I'd probably always come home to mommy and eat. And I wouldn't even have to think about when I'm going to the market, what I'm going to do, right? But here you have to start figuring all these things out. So what I would say is maybe like the principal aspect, and most importantly, just life lead you. And if you want it to be that way, you get a principle, let life flows, and you tend to start taking track and taking notes of all these experiences the earliest possible. Someone says, hey, make your mistakes early so that at the age after 30 or after, I think they said, yeah, after 30, you tend to use those ones and experience to skyrocket you. Yeah, at some point, I think I will believe in that also. And yeah, I'm not saying don't take advice from people. Do, but don't let it be the way you are living because that person told me that person told, because how many people are in your life and how many of them advise you? If you're going to,
Exactly.
and at what point are their advice, I mean, the same, right? So
That's
you
the
have
day
to
you
get,
make your
yeah,
choice.
exactly, you have to get your own way. Let DS be more like some little bit of pointers, but don't live your life based on somebody's, I mean, truth. Yeah, something like that.
Facts. Facts. So, guys, that was the end of our Let's Talk for this Tuesday. And I would just like to thank Ben once again for joining me on this week's Let's Talk. Please,
Yeah.
guys, please go over to his YouTube channel and just show some support, please. Go and click that subscribe button and give your support to BWT Africa Rising.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll link his YouTube channel below so that you can easily go to him and go and support there. And if it is that you yourself want to speak on any of these issues, please do not hesitate to contact me either by email or you can DM me on Instagram, and I'll definitely get in contact with you and we can sort that video out. So thank you once again. I hope you guys enjoyed the pointers for this week and a different perspective, not just Shanique's perspective. And I'll see you next week, guys. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for having me. All right.
No
Bye.
problem. Bye.